What we would do is I'd have a little earwig hidden in my ear playing the accompaniment, and then I would be able to sing out loud live and perform.
Maybe there's a reason to believe you'll be okay.
I didn't know that you were hurting.
'Cause when you don't feel strong enough to stand,
A lot of people feel like us.
you can reach out your hand.
Hi, Mi Tu Familia. I'm here today with the cast of Dear Evan Hansen. Ben, hello. So nice to meet you.
How are you?
Hi, how are you?
Hi, Laura. How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm actually in Miami. I know I have to.
Come on. The
I know, I have to-
305?
The 305 always. I had to give a little shout out. But listen, Danny, I want to talk about your character in Dear Evan Hansen. Tell me a little bit about who you play in the film.
I play Lorenzo Mora, who they call Larry in the film. And Larry is, he's the concerned father, in this case, stepfather of Connor Murphy, who is struggling with depression and anxiety and isolation. And after, years of therapy, he tragically commits suicide. And so Larry and his wife Cynthia and his stepdaughter Zoe have to fill that, tremendous gap, that hole left in their lives. And so, that's really who Larry is. And Larry wants to believe that. That Connor wasn't alone.
Anytime that your eyes would water up, immediately I would feel it coming on for me as well. So, so beautiful. I mean, you obviously had the experience of being the OG Evan Hansen, right? So how was this process different from being, in a theater in front of a live audience? How was making this film different from that?
That's a great question. I think for me, this experience was a lot about how to translate the performance, obviously, for a cinematic medium, and how to maintain all of the essence of what we created on stage with the emotional intensity and, Evan's physical manifestations and his anxiety and all of those things. But to create something that was a little bit more internal and a little bit more understated, a little bit more naturalistic, because obviously now Evan gets to exist in the real world, in a real school and real homes, and we get to be right up here with him very intimately. So for me, the difference was that it was a lot less about communicating and broadcasting certain emotions and certain characteristics, and more so just allowing myself to feel them internally and then allow them to kind of speak for themselves.
Tell us a little bit about your character, Alana.
So yeah, I play Alana Beck in Dear Evan Hansen. And Alana is this very high-achieving, phenomenal student who's starting a million clubs and is class president and seemingly has it all together. But you learn throughout the film that she too is also struggling with her mental health, and that's why she feels so connected to Connor and Evan. And they get to sing a song through her about how there's so many people out there who are experiencing things that you might not know about at first glance.
How was this experience for you being a part of a project like this?
I would literally pinch myself every day on set to be working with this cast, to be, surrounded by, the talent on set. The script is fantastic, and the music, the music alone tells the story.
But it just felt like you were quite literally singing directly to the audience within this film. How did that work? Is that a track that you're kind of syncing to, or is that your real voice that comes across in the movie?
So largely the singing is live. There's a mix of, depending on if there's certain takes or things where the sound wasn't good or where we're in a place with a lot of extras, there's some pre-records added as well. But a lot of my singing is live. So what we would do is I'd have a little earwig hidden in my ear playing the accompaniment, and then I would be able to sing out loud live and perform, which I really loved and appreciated because it helped it to feel very raw and very kind of human and very authentic and less sort of pre-planned.
Do you feel like do you relate to Evan in any way?
For sure. I think I have a bit more comfortability with socially and in terms of connection and all of those things. But I also have a certain introversion and a certain shyness that I think Evan has, and I also think that I am very non-confrontational and can be a kind of a fearful person. And so much like Evan, I can shy away from painful or uncomfortable or awkward conversations or connections sometimes preemptively, and it keeps me from really getting to know someone or diving deeper or getting past that. So playing him has really encouraged me to kind of jump off of those cliffs and force myself to do those uncomfortable things so that I can really get to know people.
I feel like your character is one that everyone will be kind of able to relate to, just because everyone has their own things going on, and sometimes it almost seems easier to help other people with their stuff instead of maybe taking on your own issues. So do you feel like you relate to your character at all in your personal life?
Yeah, totally. Well, I think, I was a really intense and academic teenager, and was really hard on myself and a super hyper perfectionist. And I think it was because I really needed that external validation in order to kind of find myself or define myself through my achievements. And I was so worried about what people thought about me. I wanted to put a lot of that into Alana, and I think it happened very naturally. And so there's lots of stuff that I can relate to with her. And I also have depression and anxiety, and I actually am on the exact same dosage and medication as Alana too. So there's a lot of parallels between us.
I know you're a part of the Latinx community, and I feel, and maybe you might agree with me, that this isn't necessarily a conversation that in the past has been very present. Maybe it's a generational thing, but I think it's really cool that you get to represent our community within this film. And I wanted to know from you, what do you hope that the members of the Latinx community can get? I know you've spoken about it a little bit, but what do you hope that we can learn and we can get from this film?
Well, I hope the Latinx community realizes that we're susceptible to the same strains on our mental health as any other community, and that conversation needs to start, or at least needs to continue, so that we do fill those gaps in our mental health coverage and programs, so that we understand that there is support out there, that people who are suffering with depression, with anxiety, with feelings of isolation, that one of the biggest messages of Dear Evan Hansen is that you're not alone, and that if you reach out, somebody will be there.
Thank you so much, Amandla. Just your honesty and vulnerability and everything is amazing, and we're very, very excited to see this film. So thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it.
It's been such a pleasure to speak with you, and we're so excited over here at Mitu to watch Dear Evan Hansen. So guys, go and check it out. And thanks so much, Ben.
Thank you.
A pleasure getting to speak with you, Miami native. We're all fans of you out here. We support you, and we can't wait to see Dear Evan Hansen in the theaters.
My love always to Miami. Thank you, Laura.